Evening. My name's Kurt Preskowski, and welcome to the Town of Ayer Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, August 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Ayer Town Hall. This is a hybrid meeting. This meeting of the Finance Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt a virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 978-772-8220 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.mass.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of the July 31st, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any changes, additions, corrections?
I see one typo on the second page of the minute, the first sentence there. So I think it meant town instead of toll.
Does each town. Okay. Correction made.
I'm suspicious that I didn't make the motion to adjourn.
What did I do?
Nothing.
Motion.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Someone beat you to it.
I
Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, you did jump in last
Okay.
time, but then you ceded to.
That's right. I don't think Ayer could make that.
All right. Okay.
Do I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I second the motion.
All those approve?
Aye.
Favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Minutes of July 31st are so approved. Okay, we're going to dive right in. This meeting, we've got a presentation on the Community Preservation Act and Fund. And this will be presented to us by Janet Provodakis.
It's great to meet you.
Yes, and hopefully I pronounced that correct, Janet.
Provodakis, but that's okay.
Provodakis.
Everybody's, as long as you don't call me late for dinner, and that'd be fine. Kurt and team, thank you very much for the opportunity. As I told Kurt, that I will talk about CPC all the time. I think that it was one of the best things that the town did back in 2000, 2001. So we're going to go right into the presentation because I don't know how many people want to watch the Patriots game at 8 o'clock, but that's on tonight. And it's a,
They've already started?
well, it's a pre.
Count you among those that want to
No,
watch it?
no, I just don't. So, all right. Oh, I should go get mine. I found out I have one up in the corner there. I didn't realize that. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, as you can tell from the presentation here, that the Massachusetts created the Community Preservation Act in 2000. Ayer joined on board right in 2001. They joined with and initially at a 3% surcharge. The surcharge is on the property tax. So whatever the tax rate is for your residential and for your commercial, it's an additional 3% that goes with that comes back to the town so that we get to store this money and at town meeting spend the money depending upon the projects. So we had initially 3% surcharge, then back in 2003 it got decreased to 1%, and then in 2020 realizing that we were losing money from the state, we increased it back to 3%. Because if you're, I will be, talking about it, but at 3%, you get additional bumps from the state. And like I say, you've got both residential and commercial property taxes. There are only 3 major categories that can be spent on: open space, historic, and community housing. Now, I got a little note there that says recreation was added in 2012 to the open space. Recreation has like a little caveat to it saying, okay, great, we can do things like the track up at the school, but we could not help them fund any type of building structure. It has to be something that the whole community can go ahead and enjoy. All right, Robert? All right, this is how, again, the funding comes into the CPA funds. Yeah, go ahead.
We like to dive in and ask.
That'd be
questions.
fine.
So this might be an example of, because the track could be used by community members in addition to the high school,
Correct.
the funds could be used for
Correct. It has to be for the community, because again, community
Right. Now, the
preservation.
buildings, though, are just for the high school football games.
That, and also too, because of it being a structure,
Okay.
they don't want the funds to be used for that. Also too, if there's any type of municipal, project, such as, again, you have Pine Meadow, or over on Groton Harvard Road. If they wanted to take a sidewalk and make it towards Pine Meadow, a sidewalk's considered municipal. And if it's helping out the path through Pine Meadow, CPA funds can be used for that. So there's a
Because
balance.
the sidewalk is within the open space.
Well, yeah, the path would be within the open space, but if you wanted the sidewalk out on Groton Harvard Road, because of it being a town road, and it's a sidewalk that the town will go ahead and maintain like that, it's like, it ends up being a municipal cost or
Okay, thank you.
project.
Just to make sure I understand correctly, so with the 3% surcharge, so if someone's taxes or business or whatever is say $5,000 for the year, 3%, 150 gets added on top, so essentially 150. Is that how it works?
Mhm.
Okay.
And that, like I say, and that money goes into a separate bin that collects interest and everything, so it's not like it just sits there. We do make sure that it's, I think the word is fiduciary,
So,
Okay, sound good? All right, again, you get that surcharge, on your property taxes. We also have the ability for low income. We've put that in so that you can have an abatement. So the resident every year can request, because I'm over a certain age, I have a certain amount of income, I cannot afford that extra $150 a year. Can you please remove me from getting that extra surcharge charged? And from what I understand, we do have residents who send it to the assessors, and the assessors will not take out that money. All right. Again, I gave you a little description of exactly who can be the resident, how they can fit. It depends upon, again, their income and what their situation is. Once you get the money from the town, then the state kicks in matching go ahead.
Okay.
We go
So-
back to,
Yeah, so on the abatements,
Mhm.
so on our tax bills, it has, here's your property tax for the year, and then it has the CPA amount. So on the actual bill, there's two
there's two
entries.
lines.
Okay. When you go to apply for an abatement, can you say, I want an abatement on the CPC?
Oh, that's the abatement.
Oh, on the CPC part?
On the CPC part. When we went ahead and put it into, the bylaws, because it does, the CPA does have its own bylaws state-wise and here in town. We have the ability that someone can go ahead and request. It has to be done on a yearly basis, though. It's not something that can just be filed. They have to fill out, send a letter, every year to the assessor.
And, go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, is it a separate application than a regular abatement?
It's a
essentially?
separate letter,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so in other words, I am going to next June turn 70. Um, so I will be able to apply for a um,
As long as you meet the other.
senior abatement, okay, on my property taxes, period.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, is that going to apply, that abatement is going to apply my whole tax bill? Which is my whole tax bill being regular property taxes plus plus the CPC
I
tax?
would imagine if you were reducing your tax, property tax, the percentage of that number now is gonna be reduced. So your CPA, surcharge is gonna be, the total amount will be less. It won't be the 150, it's probably gonna be like 135.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So what I guess I'm sort of saying then is that, but would it be someone else, would they be able to go and say, I want an abatement of just my CPA portion? of my
Correct.
tax?
Yep, they can do that. Like I say, they do have to meet certain qualifications.
Okay.
It's a low income, all right, you've gotta have some sort of other exemption,
Okay.
to go ahead and make it, and that's what the assessor's office, decides.
Okay, okay,
Mhm. The CP, the committee doesn't decide, it's all in the assessor's hands.
okay.
Mhm.
Good to know. Good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so like I say, we got the certain amount from the from the town, and then with that, the Department of Revenue in the state looks at the monies that have come in. When you're just at 1%, they will give, they call it a treasure chest. It's money that comes in from real estate transactions in Massachusetts. So that when you have a fee, a permit or whatever for your your deeds and such, all that money's put into like a treasure chest. Then they have that money available to, right now, it's 201 communities, are CPA communities. And they give out a overall blanket amount. And then if you happen to have 3%, even if you go to the 1.5, the 2, the 2.5, whatever, you just get that blanket amount. When you go to the 3%, you have 2 more chances of getting dibs from those state funds. So if the state fund has something like 20 million, they may dish out 15 million in the first time, then an extra 5 million, those other communities that have 3% can then tap in another time, and then a third time to that extra 5 million. That does give us extra money. Go ahead, Andrew.
How many do 3%?
You know what? I had the number a few years ago. I don't have it today, but it's not as many as you would think would have it, and that's the reason why I figured out, when the committee looked at it, that jump on the 3% bandwagon while not many were getting that extra money. And I do have some figures later on that shows you that it did make a big difference. Because, well, like I say, normally it can go as low as you get maybe 10% of the monies that, like say, if you brought in 200,000, you'd get 20,000 from the state. This way here, you could get, again, the first 3 years, the first 5 years that we were in the CPA bundle, we got 100% back from the state, which was great. But then they had to start dishing it out further and further. And one good thing is the Department of Revenue does something like they give you a ranking between 1 and 10. 10 means you get the least amount, for that second and third round. 1 gets the highest amount. We're a 4. And the reason why, they told me is because of the projects that we get done, the per capita, of the town. So they know that we can use the extra funds for some of the, like I say, the projects that we get done. So, but I can find out for you, Andrew, of how many. Yeah, I found out that majority of them went to 1.5, which I have absolutely no idea, other than, hitting the taxpayer, more, but you don't get any benefit. So if you're gonna do it, get it where you get the most benefit, especially from the state, so. All right, so, okay, yeah,
So if we were doing 1.5, we still would get some state funds?
oh, you get some state funds, but it would be something like, say the 10%, boom, that's it. You wouldn't get, the highest, I'm not gonna talk about the 100% ones, because that's because there was only about 10 towns that did it. But the highest we had is something like 80%. You wouldn't get that extra, so. And like I say, it fluctuates each year. You'll find out, when we look at some of the numbers, but it all depends upon the real estate transactions, the deeds that get, requested, the fees that are charged and whatever. All right, Robert, take the next one. Okay, this is our guideline of who gets money and who doesn't. All right, again, you've got the, I still call it 3 major categories. Recreation is part of open space. So with that, you can't, if you go down the line, you can't create historic. It's either going to be historic or not. You can't really support, maintain any type of recreation or open space. It's like it just doesn't, work. For housing, there has the ability to rehab or restore, all right, unless it's created with CPA funds, such as, like, say, some of the Habitat for Humanity homes that we've helped support here. We can go ahead and create it. We've, acquired, certain buildings so that you can, use it for affordable housing and such. You can use it to, to preserve community housing. But this is the grid that we go by. And if it fits into one of the components, again, when you're looking at it, I can't say it's black and white. There's always some gray areas because there are certain things that, okay, some of the housing, well, if you look at Pond Street, the Housing Authority, that was built in that's like 45 years old. It doesn't hit the 50-year mark. But there's certain things that, again, if it's going to help support community housing, you got to go ahead and go that route, because that's what you want to, again, support affordable housing. So does the grid make sense? Again, it gives us a nice little litmus test to start off with, saying, nah, I'm sorry, we just can't even touch it because it's nowhere on that grid. All right, yeah, Andrew?
It sounds like the treasury, the revenue.
The
service,
Department of
yeah, it goes through whatever you spend.
Yeah, I have to do a database dump every time we go to town meeting and something gets approved, I got to put it inside that database.
Are they the governing authority?
I'm going to say, and Robert can correct me, but first it goes through town council. Town council, when they look at the warrant articles, they'll go ahead and they'll say, how did this, they'll question. Knock on wood, we really haven't had that, because the committee members, the 7 members, they're pretty good at saying yes or no when the applications come through. And again, knock on Formica, we've been good. But town council is the one who sees it before it goes through. And if the Department of Revenue, they'll go ahead and they'll put up a red flag if they know that another town has been sued for something. Like one town got sued for that sidewalk that they put in. Another one got sued because they were trying to take care of a historic church that was still active. And you had people fighting, you gotta keep separate church and state. But no matter what, it all goes back to town meeting. And if the town itself, the individuals that are there, overwhelmingly say yes, this is what the town wants to have happen. So, does that help?
That's fine.
Okay. Right.
Mr. Chair, excellent. And just to add, as Janet mentioned, the Department of Revenue we have to submit everything, reviews, compliance with a fine tooth comb. It's also part of our annual audit. It looks at all of the CPC. And we have never had any findings
No.
since adopted, so.
Oh, oh, like I say, again, we try to keep it as transparent as possible, so. All right, next slide is the process for funding. Someone will come before us. When I say someone, it can be a resident, it can be a business, can be a nonprofit, can be a profit, okay? To go ahead and do a project that will be in that grid, all right? Some of the times, like we did an affordable housing project for Bob France, who happens to own, and I don't know, I call it Owen Jacobs, but it's not Owen Jacobs anymore, but the Nutting Building, right? He's got 6 affordable housing apartments upstairs. We helped fund that affordable housing component of it. When there's something as historic, like, again, that is also a historic building, we could go ahead and make sure funds are being used to keep the historic look of it. And it has to go through the Secretary of the Interior to verify that everything stays historic. Just like I'm going to use the old fire station. We started, wanting to work with that, and we were able to do the gables, and the gables had to get the okay from Historic Commission and making sure that they met the Secretary of the Interior. All right, so we have, again, individuals, businesses that come to us with funding requests, plus the departments here in town as well. And once they give us the information as an eligibility, then we bring it to a full application. That full application gets reviewed, and it's a 7-member committee. Because of the law in Massachusetts, 5 of them have to be from 1, historic, 2, the conservation, planning, housing, as well as Parks and Rec. Those 5 members have got to be appointed by each one of those committees, and they have to be a member of the CPA. And it works out really good, because if you think about it, those 5 committees really have a lot of moving parts, that, okay, great, we're going to be needing funding for this. So they can talk amongst themselves, which I make sure that there's like a committee report at the end of, each one of our meetings, so that they can discuss, all right, well, we're going to be putting up, this type of a building. All right, conservation will then say, okay, we need to make sure we do this. And even though they know it already, but it's nice to bring everybody on board. And then we have 2 members who are at large. And I gotta admit, I'm, again, Micah for Micah, I'm very lucky. We have the great group, and I don't really have any issues with quorum. It's like, you guys, you show up, and they enjoy, being able to see the preservation of items within the town. Okay, again, get the formal application. Then at that application, we move it to a public hearing. And as you all know, with a public hearing, you get the 2 weeks notice in the newspapers, and the posting up there. And then we have the public hearing where the public can go ahead and ask any question that they want to. I make sure that the applicants have as many facts as possible, because you never know what the public is going to ask. But once it goes through the public hearing and the team all agrees, let's move it to the town meeting. Then in the town meeting, we create the warrant article, send it on to Robert. Robert goes, ha ha, no, and puts it in. And we make sure that, with the select board, the finance committee, that you all, recommend that these, projects, are going to happen. And then you've got the presentation, and if it gets approved, and again, we've been very lucky. We really haven't had one that got shot down, because I think because the team does such good due diligence on these projects, if you have the facts, things go well. If it's in, you'll see the different categories. If it's, the money's in the category for that project, they can have the money right away. If not, it has to wait for our monies that come in from the state and everything settles down. July 1st, they can get the money after July 1st. So we try to have a good balance in the project categories. And if you want to, I can, Robert, the next slide tells you what the current balances are. Because you'll hear people go ahead and talk, oh, wow, you know, you've got over $3 million, almost $4 million, you know, in the CPA fund. No, we really don't. 1.3 million of it is in open space. It can only be used for open space and parks, you know, and recreation. That is in that category. Once it's in that category, it has to be used for that category. Historic's got 314,000, housing's 238, and reserves. Excuse me. In the reserves, there's two sections of that category. One is a budgetary reserve, excuse me, and the other one is undesignated reserve.
Could you explain the difference between them?
One of them, excuse me, the budgetary reserve, excuse me, is the holding account for the monies that are coming into the CPA funds. When we are at town meeting and we do the disbursements, 10% has got to go in each one of those categories, open space, historic, and housing. The other 70% approximately goes into that undesignated. So, you know, the monies will get put in there. The undesignated, one good thing about it is if we have a project, like say if we, the Ayer Commons project over on Fitchburg Road, the 106 affordable housing units that are hopefully going to be built soon, we gave 400,000. Again, the town approved 400,000 back in 2023. Well, you can't get 400,000 out of 238,000. So what we'd end up doing is we'd take some of it out of the undesignated reserve. A lot of times you can go ahead and do a warrant article to transfer so it can cover, or you just say, okay, great, we're going to split it. You know, we'll take 200 out of here and 200 out of there. I like always having it come out of the category because then you can trace it back when it comes out of undesignated. Again, that's sort of like the kitty that you can take stuff for any project out of. So we, you know, we've been throwing stuff in there because, again, once it goes into a category, you have to use it for that category. And that's why it got shifted in the beginning when we were at 3%. It got shifted to 1% because all of it pretty much was going into open space. So that's why open space is so large. Mm-hmm.
So the 400, is that already gone from here? Okay.
That is.
I was just wondering because they haven't started yet. So
No, they haven't started, but again, it's been put to the side, so it's now a project still waiting to be done.
Okay, so that's not included.
That's not included in that. Yeah, we make sure about that, so.
Yeah, so how you came up with all this, how you came to all these numbers were accumulation of many years of decisions?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So like each year you decide that you're going to spend this much on preserving open space, and then you put the money there, and maybe you haven't used it all up, and that's it.
And it
why
stays there,
eventually
though.
it accumulates.
It accumulates,
I see, I
correct,
see.
yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, it's.
But there's no like a preordained formula say that you have to, every year's collection, you had to put like a 40% open space, 30%.
10%.
Oh,
That's
10%
the-
in each category.
Each category.
But
is-
then the remaining 70% is of.
We can do whatever we want with it. Like if we know that there's going to be a large request coming up, we may go ahead and take 30% and throw it into historic because we know something's going to be, you know, happening. Mm-hmm.
So just a little detail on that, because I was talking with Robert. So in one of the town warrants is, it says we're going to get, let's say, 1 million in CPA funds this year. This is answering your question. And in that town warrant article, it says of that 1 million, 10% will go to open space, 10% to historic, 10% to housing, and 70% to reserves. So we could tweak that for that year, tweak that percentage to split to be 30, 10, 10.
And we used to do that in the past.
Okay.
We did, okay? We just wanted to put more in undesignated so that we have the flexibility to use it for whatever project, okay? Again, the group does want to, bump up a little more of the historic and the housing, so sometimes we do and 20% and throw it in there. Okay? All right, this gives you an idea of what has been collected between 2020 and 2025. And if you notice, again, I've got my other little cheat sheet. The year 2020, we were still at 1%. All right, and with it being at 1%, you can see that we received approximately 24% from the state. That was their baseline. When we went to 2021, again, we jumped up to 3%. However, the state doesn't give it to us until the year after because the fiscal year has already started. So we were only at 28% from the state. Then in 2022, when the 3% kicked in with the Department of Revenue, you can see the big bump that came from the state funds because we got 73% from the state. So again, you had our money, and what they ended up doing is they gave us, because of not only the first round, the second round, and the third round, it was a total of 72.8%. Hence why you've got a good amount there. 23, because more states and more municipalities joined in the fund, and so they get that baseline. Also, too, I know that there's like certain types of real estate deed fees and everything. The housing market just didn't do as well. You got a little, decrease, and that was at 64.25% that we got from the state. And same thing's happening for 24, and supposedly for 25, we're down to about 37% from the state and 31% from the state. So that would give, again, more of a decrease. You would imagine with the prices of houses, the tax rate is fine, but that treasure chest has to be funded by transactions, real estate transactions. So if people, if they're not, even though they're buying houses, they're going to a rental market, things like that, that starts decreasing what money goes into that treasure chest. And then the state gets a little more cautious of saying, okay, great, we're not going to give you the 20 million, we're going to give you 18, because we need this extra for just in case. And they can play around with that money. That's why I said beforehand, it fluctuates yearly. It depends upon who's in the house and such within the state. But we've been, overall, like I say, we've been doing pretty good. The 1% towns, when we received the 72, they received 43. When we received the 64, they received 38. Last year, or the 25, when we received 31, they received 18. So it's a benefit, again, for getting that 3% because we got additional monies from the state. All right. And next one. I just wanted people to know that there is a website that has our success stories, and it will give you the background history of some of these. And I wanted you guys to see, what are some of the examples are. If you look at Peroni Park, we helped out with their playground. We helped out with the path that walks around, that you can go around. I think it's a quarter mile, 4 times around to be the mile. We helped out with the school, not only the track, but the fence that's over by Page Hilltop, because there were foxes and, I mean, like I say, you can hear read the background stories. They wanted to protect the kids. So we put up the fence there. We have 2 duplexes for the Habitat for Humanity, plus 1 single-family house on Shirley Street. We also, too, I don't know if you've ever used the digitization, I love saying that word, of the Public Spirit and the Turner Spirit and the Neshoba Valley Voice from the library. It's online. You can go in there, research anything for free, do the searches for whatever, terms you have, brings back what you used to see in microfiche, and I'm dating myself, all right? But you used to be, exactly.
I think we can all.
We all understand what you're talking about.
But it's right there. Okay. The big screens that, you have.
I was making the little scrolling
Uh-huh.
motion here.
Well, now you can do that from the, comfort of your couch. And this was a great thing that Luke brought to us, and it goes back to the 1800s.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's amazing seeing some of the pictures. And I get to do a lot of my research that way because you can see on how times have changed. The town hall generated Pleasant Street School. You all know that 62 Pleasant Street has 26 different apartments. They're all affordable. It's controlled by the Ayer, Housing Authority, as well as, I'm going to say Massachusetts, but I know it's another name now. And we did the pocket park next to it as well, because we could do recreation as being something as long as the community could go ahead and enjoy it, which they can. Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't think the town hall needed a generator or anything, but that doesn't fall under.
Historic.
Oh, right.
See, that's what I mean. It's black and white, but yet there's like that gray area. As long as you can go ahead and prove that there is some sort of, issue. We did the roof of the town hall, and we did Sandy Pond School. Again, had them totally renovated, and now they're using it for the 3rd graders. They come in and they have 2 days or whatever of single classroom, events.
So we see how much has been collected over the last few years. How much has been handed out over the last few years?
I don't know. Hold on a second if I got that.
Because we started this in 2000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's see. If we have approximately 3, what did I say? We've got almost 3.5 million, and we've received approximately 9 million. That would give us about 5.5. I can get the breakdown for you. Of it. No. I mean that's a good one. I'll remember that for next time. Of the disbursements that we have done.
So since 2001, we have collected, so around some 9, again, very
About 9
approximate.
million.
Around 9.
Yeah, and that's including the state match. Okay, we've collected here in town 5.6, and the state match has been almost 3. So that comes up with, so yeah, 6, about 6 and 3 be 9. Yeah, I gotta figure out what I did here. But yeah, so.
Then we've dispersed some 5.5 million. Again, this is just
Mhm.
rough figures.
Yeah, about 5 million. And what I can do is get the breakdown. Trying to think what might have been one of our largest. I don't remember.
So-
Tucker property wasn't, a lot.
Was buying the, property across Sandy Pond, was that?
That was 350,000, but we have 400,000 for, Air Commons, the, affordable housing unit on Fitchburg. So that,
How much did you guys think was the playground?
yeah, that was about 700.
Might be one of them.
Yeah, I think the playground was probably one of the highest, so, but I can get the breakdown, just so that you have it, and I'll have it as well.
Took me a minute to remember. So the Pleasant Street School is actually, that was the original, what was that, the original high school, or was that a hospital?
Well, I think it was, high school.
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
it was a hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we took that building and now it's converted, because I always just, there's apartments there and there's a park next to it, the little Pleasant
Correct.
Street Park.
Right.
Okay, now it'll, because
Yeah,
I used to take my dog for a walk.
Right,
Got it.
right. 26 apartments there, they're all Section 8, they're all, deed restricted, so they're all subsidized. So, the individuals there pay 30% of their income for their rent, and the federal government kicks in the rest. While, there are other voucher programs, such as what, Air Commons is going to be using, the Massachusetts State Voucher Program, MSRVP, and they'll do exactly the same thing, but the money comes from the state, and it's all based on your income, and they look at the median income of the town, and we are in a Boston market, so with that, the dollars amount reflects, say Boston, and if you look at some of the breakdown, like there's another slide that I have for another presentation for another day at a public hearing, is that when you look at the individuals who work in town, that workforce housing that is the 80% of the median income, they could be subsidized for the apartments because they hit under the family of four amount. And it's, like I say, it's amazing on how so many, when you see a firefighter first come in, now granted, firefighters, police officers, they have a base salary, but they also work so many details, work overtime, so it bumps up their salary like anything. But those are like an additional job. When you work a detail, that's like, you're putting in another 8 hours, above the 8 hours that you've already done. But their base salary is like, say 60,000. And with that, that's a workforce housing amount that they could, if they stayed at that amount, be subsidized. Same thing with, the employees here at Town Hall. So never mind about the individuals that work in. So with that, this is, again, things that we go ahead and look at. And Pleasant Street School was a great purchase. It really was. The individuals there from, everybody, who is a member of the committee, like I say, has to be a member, or the five have to be a member of another committee. I'm on the Housing Authority. I'm one of the commissioners. So I got to see that get created, and it was, like, again, one of the best things. And the individuals that live there, they have the community room, and they'll have dinners every week. They have, events that go on, and they really do their own thing. And they keep it up very nice with plants, and, they got their garden, they've got, the little flowers in the front. They really do a nice job. I don't want to, did that answer some of your questions about, it's a great project, CPA. Again, it doesn't really, when we spend this money, it does not affect any more of the tax rate. There are communities that may need extra money. the CPA can go ahead and take out bonds if it wants to. Not gonna, Micah, we haven't had a chance, haven't had to do that. The town has been very, supportive of the projects, but again, I think it has a lot to do with the way the team does the due diligence. And I'm lucky with the team, so. And if you have any questions, like I said, I'll get you those numbers, and anything else, you know where I am, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
All right?
We have
Okay.
any folks from,
Is there anybody online?
Nobody online, but we are recording.
Okay. As I say in the CPC meeting, anybody watching this on, Apex YouTube videos, if you've got any questions, just reach out to Carly, and she'll be able to get me your question, and definitely I'll give you the answers.
I guess,
Mhm.
one sort of
Oh,
last
that's fine.
question.
Mhm.
So like just your recollection doesn't need to be anything accurate, that what the town has spent in the last 20 years, do you have a rough idea, like percentage-wise, how much was in the open space and or historic and,
It's not as much an open space as we would like.
I see.
Okay, we've had some projects that, we've done, had the appraisal and everything else, and we've wanted to go ahead and purchase some properties, but a lot of times what ends up happening is something is stuck, with town council because of a certain easement. And it happened to be the project that created those 3 houses at the end of Wright Road, so that they've got that cul-de-sac. We had a chance to go ahead and purchase that property. However, there was an easement that was on a piece of paper that was handwritten back in the 1800s, all right? And it just was not solid enough to take the chance that something could have happened with those 75 feet. And, it was things like that, other types of properties. By the time we went ahead and found, somebody to work with, because the town can't become a landlord. It has to have somebody to go ahead and work on the project, such as Air Commons has got, a nonprofit. With that, people get antsy. We were very lucky with Tooker property. Tooker property knew that you had to wait for the town meeting to occur to purchase the property. A lot of people don't want to wait that 6 months. So, so that's one that we haven't spent a lot. We have spent a lot on historic housing and recreation. We have. And if I had to give it the weight, I'd have to say housing, probably recreation, and then historic, and then open space. Again, we just need people to want to sell their property and know that you just have to wait for town meeting. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Do the presentation coming here.
Oh, but nothing, like I say, I can talk about it all the time because it's a great project. All right, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Nice.
Nice
Okay,
job,
and you
Janet.
know how to, no problem, and you know how to get in touch with me just in case you got any other questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay. So, moving on to the next item. Discussion of items for future Finance Committee meetings. As of Tuesday night's Select Board meeting, we got a new update. So, so the Senior Center did their presentation, and the Select Board has, voted to move forward with the Senior Center town meeting and ballot process. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, contingent on,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, so the first thing was that we did Tuesday night was to say, okay, we're going to move forward with presenting the town meeting to select, oh my gosh, Senior Center construction to town meeting. So, So I will give you a quick, and correct me if I'm wrong. So yes, this is going to be for the October 27th special town meeting. And-
Glad they've
What,
given everyone
27?
enough time
Oh,
to
October 27th.
really get all the information and comment on it.
So,
We're gonna cover that.
so that will be for the special town meeting. And then on November 4th, there would be, because will be involving a debt exclusion, there will also be a townwide ballot on November 4th. To do this to accomplish this on September 26th, the select board has to officially
Call the election.
call the election, okay. So the deadline, the first big deadline is the September 26th select board calling the election. Before that, we have to meet with the senior center. They will make their presentation. We have to make our recommendations. And the capital planning committee has to meet and make their recommendations, which will then be passed to the select board for their September 26th meeting. So, having said all
I
that,
have a question.
yes,
So we vote on whether we want to do it or not before the select board meets?
correct.
Which is not how we normally do that. Right, normally we have a joint meeting and present our recommendations.
I'm not sure.
Feels a little bit like the select board decided to push it off on capital planning and FinCom.
No, the process,
Yeah, so real quick, so the issue, it's a two-part process. Nothing's ever easy, right? So the fall, if it is to go to the fall town meeting, which is October 27th, the warrant article for that would have to be, the warrant closes on October 3rd, the select board, and it could be a joint meeting to approve. The warrant is on October 7th. The difference here is the debt exclusion election, and talking with the town clerk, it would be ideal, assuming it was going to happen at the October 27th meeting, to have the election on Tuesday, November 4th. State law requires that the select board vote to call the election, including the ballot question, at least 35 days before the election. So if you count back from November 4th, it really puts it at September 30th. And the select board, because I think some of them are going to be away that week, had said Friday, September 26th. The board, as Kurt knows, they didn't take a formal vote. What they're saying is that they want the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning Committee to weigh in on it, and then they'll make a decision.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, and capital, because it is a capital project, so all capital projects have to go through, and finance as well.
so then, just for my education, then, so on the meeting on Friday, September 26th, the select board will make the final decision to actually have the senior center added as a warrant item for the October 27th special town meeting and the November 4th special election.
In essence, because they have to call, if they're gonna call the election, that means it's gonna go to town meeting.
Okay, but that will be officially done at the September 26th meeting. Okay. So then we would need to meet sometime between now and the 26th to have the select, too many S's, senior center do their presentation and our group to make the recommendations. So, looking at our calendar,
My latest date is the 11th. Otherwise, I'm out of the country.
okay.
You don't need me for the quorum.
Would you be able to attend remotely? Okay. Just, I'm not saying you should, just as far as,
I'll be in the mountains.
oh, okay.
8 hours ahead.
Okay, well, actually, okay, so,
It's
Or
3
no-
weeks from today.
right. That would be the 4th, so that, and actually that, I think that, so we would, sometime of the week of the 8th would be good if we could um, have our meeting that week, so that would be the 9th, 10th. Now, I know the 11th, well, is the Conservation Committee, so it would be looking at the 9th or the 10th. Are you looking at a town calendar?
That's what I'm checking. here.
Okay,
Planning board's on Tuesday. The 9th, right?
It looks like, so the 10th, which is a Wednesday, if you meet at 6, that looks open.
can we meet on Mondays? I know I just,
So Monday, what I'm seeing here, but we can check, it looks like there's a Board of Health meeting at 5:30 on the 8th, but they don't always meet, so I would have to check on that. Why I say they don't always meet, sometimes if there isn't a hearing or so forth, or we could, I could ask them, we could set them up in a different room.
well then,
Let me see if there's any-
You might have a direct connection. Yeah. And I could ask the chair of the Board of Health if they wouldn't mind.
well, let's shoot for Wednesday, September 10th at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
Would
that's
that be,
open.
that be our first choice? Would that work for folks?
I'm on budget 2 hours
Is
for
that
that
okay with
meeting.
you?
Hmm?
Said I would budget 2
Yeah.
hours for that.
Oh, okay, good point.
So Wednesday, September 10th at 6.
Mhm. Can I ask for additional clarification? Not on the date. I got that. When you say that the select board is looking for FinCom and capital planning to weigh in
Mm-hmm.
before giving their yay or nay,
Mhm.
select board gives you, what does that mean?
So, what,
Should we stop recording or?
no, it's okay. So, the issue, we'll take the two committees, we'll do the easier of the two. So, the capital planning committee is charged by the town financial policies to review all capital projects and make a recommendation to the select board that A, it meets all of the capital requirements. It meets in terms of the affordability and so forth as another criteria. They met with this committee back in January, but they weren't all of the pieces at that time. And so it was left with, you need to come back at some point for us to make a recommendation. The Finance Committee, as a committee of town meeting, which is charged with sort of the eyes and ears of the finances and so forth, are looking for the Finance Committee to weigh in on, the finances of it and the affordability and so forth. So through the chair, as part of this, and I think this is a good question in the sense that the FinCom, I think through the chair, should communicate to the chair of the Senior Center Committee any specific information or questions that you have specifically. But as part of that presentation, and I'm meeting with Barbara on Monday, in advance of that, we would have a full, in addition to the project piece, would have a full financial presentation as well. So this is a unique project in that sense, but those two boxes has been checked. And if you can watch, if you watch the last two, I think it just went up today. If you watch the last two select board meeting meetings on this topic, you
Mhm.
can see from the board pretty quickly what the areas of concern are.
Yeah, I watched the
Yeah.
previous one. So are they, because I know for the regular April, the normal town
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
like warrants for financial
Yeah.
articles, we vote,
Yeah.
do we recommend or not recommend?
Yep.
Is that what we're doing, or is that the goal on September 10th? Or would we then convene another meeting in which to do so? Like, is that what the
They would be
select
looking
board is looking for
a
essentially?
recommendation, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's, okay, that's what I was assuming, and
Yeah.
this is good, I'm glad you brought this up,
Yeah.
is that we would then, after we have the presentation, discussion, then we would have our recommend, not recommend, and, I forget, what's the third one? I always
No
forget.
position or presentation.
Report at town meeting.
Or the town meeting, okay, so, yeah,
Four options.
that's why, we pay him the big
That's why
bucks.
you're the vice chair.
Because the chair's
Have
never.
to memorize all the rules.
It's okay.
So, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
That's what I thought, Eric, was what we were gonna do
We
on.
might as well combine them, right?
Oh, the presentation and our vote? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I just
Yeah.
was saying if we needed to, we would need to come together then again before the 26th to do that, so we had an official stance to. Okay. Would we then need to or want to be present at the September 26th meeting? Or a representative of FinCom be present at the to
Yeah, so-
officially give our.
Yeah, so the 26th will be an open meeting, that's a good point, and however, if the FinCom wants to transmit its finding in writing or through the chair, or if the committee wants to be at that meeting, there's nothing to preclude any of that.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I've taken our recommendations and taken it to the.
Yeah,
To the select board meeting, putting the warrants together, and I said, here's our summary, so I would do that with with this group. May I ask this, are going to be any other warrants that we have to make recommendations on for special town meeting?
that is a good question.
Um,
So, yes, so, through you, Mr. Chair, right, and the warrant just opened, but, so let's assume there's this, of course. Related to this, in the proposal to make this work, there'd be a warrant article looking at a portion of using some capital stabilization towards this project, so that would be a separate article. So there'd be two. The CPC is gonna have two articles, one for, I think, a generator for some historic structure, I forget what she said, and for the affordable housing at Devon's Crest. So that has CPC impacts. But other than that, and then there's some zoning things, I think that's it. So the rest of those things you have some more time on until, I mean, if you wanted to attend, we've done the joint meeting, would be on October 7th or prior to that.
It does appear that there will be a meeting on the 8th.
Okay, so why don't we use Wednesday, September 10th at 6 as the primary? And if the Board of Health is going to meet as the secondary, would be Monday, the 8th at 6. Contingent on, let me just talk to the chair and to the Board of Health and see if they're amenable to being set up in an alternative location.
You know, would that work for
Yeah.
you?
That works.
So Wednesday is
I assume that's barring the availability of the senior center.
well, they've got a
They gotta make time.
respectfully. This,
Yeah, I already got a meeting from the, email from the senior center director requesting our meeting. So I got that today. So, and then I would think we would also do our regular meeting on Thursday, September 18th at 6 PM. That would be our first, we do first and third. Before this came up, I was gonna suggest on the first and third month schedule, our next meeting would be September 4th, which is the week of Labor Day, and I mean, if we want, we could meet that day, but,
We're getting to budget season.
yeah.
So do you want to start meeting first and third in October?
Oh, yes, it's starting in October, yes, I want to get back to the first and third. But I think for September, with there being Labor Day weekend, and now this, that we'll be meeting on the 10th, we'll do the special meeting on Wednesday, September 10th, and then Thursday, September 18th at 16th would be our regular meeting, and we could look at,
Do you have any idea what we want to discuss on the 18th meeting yet?
well, that would definitely be, beginning to talk about the budget, upcoming budget process will be, because
Yeah, the budget calendar.
Robert will be sending out the budget calendar in the next few weeks, so that will be probably our kickoff for the budget season.
Yes.
Woo-hoo. So, um, the, I meant to get it, but I ran out of time today. On the town website, select board, where the agenda is, there's the, select board presentation, and the senior center presentation is in there, if you want to start looking at that. And that has the basic, numbers, that the select board looked at last Tuesday.
Did they fix them compared to the meeting before, when they didn't quite look?
We should read them.
Yes, and in advance of your meeting, you'll get all of the detailed, numbers. That's what we're working on now.
I assumed we were gonna email you any questions we have ahead of time, and then you will just send a giant list of things.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because one of the things I started to bring up inadvertently, I found out at the select board meeting was, as soon as I heard this, is like, we want to see our group, and I was sort of, if they're gonna do the work, this capital planning to do it, is we need to see really good financial detail. So like on the presentation they did at select board, they
Right.
had, there's like 3 totals that they have with, without, with generator. I was like, okay, we need 1 total, or if you're gonna have 3, 1 total with, you know.
Pick a lane.
Exactly. Want to have, yeah, a whole lot more detail.
How much money the Friends have
It-
obtained in pledges?
Right, and that
Not,
is.
not just we hope, but how much they actually have so far.
So that's exactly, if you look at the presentation, it has, how they came up with the grand total, which is 15 point, it's down now to 15.4 or 15.1, and that was part, let's say it's 15.4, and then, total. Okay. And then below that, it says, this will be reduced by possible monies from the capital, stabilization fund, UDAG, grants, couple other things, which then takes it down to 9 million plus, and then that is the amount that would be going to debt exclusion.
We'll have to see those numbers.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, and there's,
I imagine you have so many comments right now, but it's probably not the time.
yeah, but no, this is what's been good that we've been talking about. This is, I was looking at this, is like, okay, let's get detail. I also want to get detail from, Barbara.
Yes.
In other words, it has the 181, this is what the cost will be, 181. And you folks may have picked up on this. Part of the reason I will broach this now is that we had the presentation on debt by Barbara a couple weeks ago, was for this purpose.
Yeah.
So I want to take,
She's gonna get you, so you'll see, just what you're saying, Mr. Chair, the tax impact over the life of the you know, that level of detail, so informed decisions can be made.
exactly, actually, I would want to put it, I'm going to throw it out here, and I hope, I think that the committee members would agree, is I want to see, or we would want to see, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is we've got the fire truck coming up, the bridge coming up. Those are 2 big things that have yet to be borrowed for. So I would like to see her debt schedule showing
Yep.
those two things plus, okay, now we're gonna throw the senior center in there too.
That, and maybe, I don't know, but I feel like with what Barbara said, like 14 potentially million being borrowed next April or May or whenever, that then afterwards gets calculated into our taxes, right? Like the 3 million for the fire truck hasn't actually hit our taxes at all in any way yet. So that's gonna cause, wouldn't that cause, am I right in assuming that would cause a significant jump? That
Yeah,
$14 million borrow?
Selectman Livingston actually asked Tuesday night, just to the point you're getting at, wants to see the whole picture. And so that's what I'm meeting with Barbara on, to get that all together. So, right, so if, for the sake of argument, the 181 just is year one for this project. But to your point, all of the other stuff and the impact, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm trying to think, I had some other, actually I made some notes on Tuesday, and I was at the meeting Tuesday night.
Thank you for going to all these meetings.
We should,
Well, we should all watch it and then get back to you. It's good for folding laundry. You can just have it on in the background. There's lots of good chores. You
yeah,
can
so,
do.
yeah, the main thing I had was, like on the UDAG and the capital stabilization funds, we want to get details of what the current balance is. If we were to, if funds were to come out of there for the senior center, what would be the balance after there?
You know what? Never mind.
What?
I was gonna say, well, normally we try to replenish those funds whenever you take stuff out. So is it really a right? Like UDAG, we
No,
replenish
it's not.
cap stabilization. We always refund with free cash and stuff. So it's just
Yeah.
I'll hold my comments.
Oh, okay, but my point is that it just, right in the current presentation from the senior center, just, we're gonna use this. I think for our purposes, I would like to have a page saying, okay, they plan to use these funds from these two savings account, capitalization, UDAG. What's the current balance if they were to use the funds, and then what would be the balance afterwards? And it maybe some, and I actually did make a note here, source of replenishment for UDAG and capital saves, that question, okay. Any other items that popped to mind, or again, start shooting me emails, because.
And then you get me those questions, and we want to make sure we get all of that.
Because I want us to make sure that all the financial pieces of this are very clear, are very well communicated, and have been, for lack of a better word, accurately calculated. In other words, okay, it's going to cost us 181. That's what they're showing in the presentation. So,
Right.
and again, that was part of our learning curve with Barbara's presentation, is that from what I can see and what she presented to us, that's a good number, and that things like that. So that we as a FinCom committee can say that, okay, here's their presentation. This is what they're asking for financially. This is how it will impact the town financially. And are those accurate figures? Are those good figures? And what will be presented to town meeting and what folks will be voting on, is this a true financial picture of this transaction? Is this all so do you as a taxpayer, and this is where we would have to change our, switch our hats, so to speak, go from FinCom member to taxpayer. As a taxpayer, of all this information being presented to me, is it true, accurate, and correct, and going into the future and taking everything into account, so that I feel comfortable as a taxpayer then making a decision on this, that I have the information that I need to make a decision.
presentation at town meeting coming. I said, I feel a presentation at town meeting coming. Sure, I'll do it.
You're the,
Better
you're the,
rest in those
you're,
mountains.
you're the face. You're gonna become the face. The face of FinCom, unless Eric wants to do it.
No one wants me to do it.
All right, so
Okay.
should I make a motion to
Oh.
adjourn the meeting?
No one's online, right?
Nobody's
Oh, yes.
online.
Public
Go ahead,
input.
Jen. Go ahead.
Okay, so I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second your motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned as of 7:16 PM. Thank you very much.